The MBT-B is a Tier 9 American premium heavy tank. Fun fact, it's actually not a collector. It's one of the only tanks in the game that is not a collector at this point, especially at higher tiers. But indeed, the MBT-B. This is a vehicle which I actually love to play. It's possibly my favorite Tier 9 in the game, right up there next to the Cobra. And it's for many reasons. It's fairly mobile, has decent turret armor, solid gun depression, a very accurate gun, and an auto-reloading mechanic that, believe it or not, is not broken. Also, just a slight side note, why is every TVP player so bad at Blitz? It's not like it's, oh, this TVP player might be bad. No, it's this TVP player will die within the first minute of the game. That's as simple as it gets. But I digress. The MBTB is a tank I absolutely love to play, and the reason why is because, for once, it seems to be the first balanced autoloader slash auto reloader that is properly well balanced. We obviously know that there's a huge problem with autoloaders and auto reloaders in general. Wargaming just doesn't know how to balance them, and they either suck or they are way too strong. What tanks suck? Well, we have the BZ-176 and the Waffenträger Alpha E100. I find the BZ-176 absolutely a blast to play, but at the end of the day, the tank is very, very bad on its influence because it has no armor and it has no mobility. Why Wargaming couldn't allow the tank to go 40, or why they couldn't have given it at least a little bit of turret armor, I have absolutely no clue. But because of that, it can be a little bit hard to enjoy playing in that vehicle. However, to make up for that, it does have really nice alpha. But in general, the tank is not very good, and most players probably aren't going to find it enjoyable. And another great example of this would be the Waffenträger Alpha 100. The Waffenträger is just another absolutely dookie balls autoloader. Now, to be fair, I think that it should be, and I'm actually fine with the way Wargaming decided to balance it, but it's not very fun to play. It's why, even though there's quite a few of them purchased, you've only seen like 10 of them ever played since their original release, and it's because everybody knows the tank just is not a good vehicle. So that brings us to the reality of the situation. The MBT-B is one of the first, if not the only autoloader slash auto reloading vehicle in the game that is legitimately fun to play, well balanced, and good for the game. This vehicle only has 1860 damage per minute, making it the lowest damage per minute heavy, right up there next to the M5Yo. The difference is the M5Yo does 900 damage in 1.7 seconds. That's bullcrap. Even if the vehicle has poor DPM, it doesn't matter. You should not be able to deal that much damage in such a short amount of time. The MBT-B has a 4-second intro clip, which means that while it does deal decent damage, it also doesn't rip out the damage. It takes a decent, chunk of time to get another shell loaded to be able to start damaging your opponents more. Not only that, it doesn't have any DPM, which means that once you shoot your shells, you're out of another shell for 12.5 seconds with only 390 damage per shot. That means really any Tier 9 heavy, even an E75, will not only out-reload you, but will out-trade you. And they feature really good armor, and you can start to see where I'm getting at here. This is a vehicle that, for really any skilled player, is not necessarily hard to deal with. And even if it is, this tank does have good gun depression, it does have good accuracy, it will still bleed you, but it's not going to bleed you very quickly. If I'm in a medium tank and I see an MBT-B, I'm not going to be like, oh my god, it's an MBT-B. I'll be much more scared of the AMX 5120 or Standard B, which can deal 1050 damage in a matter of 6 seconds, and then not only that, continuously shoot on single shot DPM that's close to 2500. Now that's stupid, and it's why the Standard B for years has been considered one of the strongest Tier 9s in the game. The Mouse tank has also really solid DPM with tungsten as a triple shot auto loader. Like, there's so many tanks that are autoloaders and auto reloaders in Tier 9, in Tier 10, even Tier 8 that feature way too much DPM, way too much everything going for them to a point where it's just hard to really counter them. Look at the Contracaro 1 Mark II on the enemy team. The vehicle itself is not incredibly capable, right? Because it's super slow. It only reaches the top speed of like 35, and its traverse speed is legitimately the worst in the game. So you got some big downsides for the vehicle. But to make up for that, the tank also features really good clipping potential. It can deal 14 to 1300 damage in a clip. That means in 7 seconds, you can literally destroy a full health Tier 8 in a Contracara. That's stupid. And again, it's not good for the game. Why do we give vehicles like that such a ridiculous amount of clipping potential? It should have had a two-shot gun. And that would have basically neutered the vehicle to a point where it would not have been able to deal such a ridiculous amount of damage. Also, they have two 183s. Of course they do. So even if one of them is spotted, the other one still might be in one of these cringe positions somewhere over here. Well, we have the M103, and I'm going to aim it on this M103. We're going to load in a gold shell. This is such a good example of this vehicle, right? We can see here that the gun on this tank is accurate, and it does deal decent damage. But now if I want to shoot that M103 again, I have to wait 10 more seconds. I mean, that is a very long reload for only 300 damage because I'm loading gold shells to pen this tank. And it really is such a good example of where this vehicle is properly balanced in, most mechanics. So we're going to aim it on the IS-7. We get penned, but now the IS-7 is going to start backing up, and I'm going to aim it on its lower plate, and there you go. Nice 390. Pretty good stuff. So even though the IS-7 does shoot me, you can see how I'm able to outtrade that player. But that's entirely the IS-7's fault. That person made a bad play, over-aggressed like they shouldn't have, and got punished for it. And again, that's exactly how vehicles like this should be balanced. Now, I am very worried. I still don't know where the enemy 183 is. I really don't. And I don't know if the 18 or the E100 on our team is in a spot that can detect where that player would be. There we go. Nice shot into the IS-7 again. Look at how poor the DPM is on this vehicle. I'm only at... Oh, there's the 183. Okay, nice. So at this point, that means I can back off. But, notice how this tank is not at a lot of damage at this point. I'm not able to massively influence the game as we know it here. And that's really, really good for Blitz in general. It really is a good thing. So we're going to back up. We're going to aim it on the FE2 and 5B183. Knock that player out of the game. I don't have to worry about that player anymore. We still have teammates here. And look at that. 183 tries to YOLO like a freaking ape. Gets punished. No longer exists in the game. It's such a good example of how I can take a vehicle which has poor DPM, still make an influence in the battle. There you go, get a clearance of the IS-7. We can see, by the way, the turret does have weak spots, as I got penned right through the turret by that player. But again, look at this. We're doing good here. We're getting shells out into our enemy. We got the rear of the 183. There you go, nice 430. We're up to 2,800 damage now. 183 gets a clear into my team, and there you go. Our 183 gets the clear. Where's my other teammate? It's just the E100. I mean, this player is frickin' brainlet. Full health, has done literally nothing all game except flank. Completely useless to the team. So, it's whatever. But, at the same time, we've been doing fine here. There's the 4202. Easy clear into that player. Not bad at all. So, this is just really... This game here was probably the best example I could have given for the MBT-B and why it's such a fun tank to play. Because nothing I've done in this battle is toxic, nor is it overpowered. I have bled the enemy when they've made stupid plays, like the IS-7 and the FME-2 and 5B183. They both made over pokes, which they shouldn't have, and they both got punished for it. That's exactly what you want for a vehicle like this. Oh, okay, I guess the 60 TP just hits that. And then my shell bounces his lower plate. You can literally see the shell mark on his lower plate, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to have fun with an E100 here in a second, bro. Yeah, not so fun now. No, it isn't. And again, we can see here, I don't really have the effective DPM to bleed out this player a huge amount of damage. I mean, look at how long my reload is, but I don't care. Go ahead and rush me. Oh no, what will I ever do? Whoa. Yeah, you have fun with that. My E100 might not be very good, but he's still a bunch of HP and a gun. And as long as I have one teammate at the end of the game, I'm still able to get a win here. So not only do we get a victory, but a pretty solid one. Let's take a look at the post-game results. Come on, show me the numbers. There you go, 3,600 damage. I mean, it's such a good example here of the MBT-B. Nothing I did in this game was overpowered. And yet, I was still able to make a very big impact in the game. I'm 100% the reason why we won. I was able to punish the 183. I was able to punish the M103, the Contra Caro. This is how autoloaders and auto reloaders should be balanced. Sure, I have no problem with vehicles dealing a lot of damage. I have no problem with the T-57 Heavy being able to deal a lot of damage in a short period of time. But if you want this tank to be able to deal that damage, then it has to have poor levels of DPM. It has to have poor levels of armor. That way, it balances out the tank. This tank has way too much troll turret armor and way too much DPM. at 2,700 to be considered balanced, in my opinion. It's crazy to me that this tank got nerfed from like the 2,900 to now the 2,700 DPM it has, and there's people that are like, oh, it's not very good anymore. I'm like, what planet are we living on? This tank should have at tops 22 to 2,300 DPM. Then it would make it so that when it's on reload, you can effectively push out and punish the vehicle. That is how you balance these tanks. And it's how the MBT-B is balanced. And there's always going to be people that are like, oh, but you need DPM to do well. Wrong. My average damage in this tier 9 heavy for the 37 games I've played is 3,100, and I'm sitting at an 84% win rate. Why? Because I'm a smart enough player to take apart and dismantle the situations placed in front of me and turn them into victories, even if my effective damage per minute is not very high. It shows that skill and how you work a tank is the most important thing ever. I guarantee that anybody that's going to complain about DPM is not averaging 3,100 in tier 9, so I don't want to hear it. Either way, you can let me know your personal feelings, but this is one of the few times that I think Wargaming did actually do a decent job on balancing a tank, and I hope that they continue to learn from their mistakes and balance better. Will that be the case? Probably not. This may have just been a fluke. I mean, when you release 30 vehicles a year, there's obviously going to be one out of the 30 that's pretty well balanced, but yeah, I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.